Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joy at Work. It's great to be with you once again. If you're into the World Cup, I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're having a good time. We're pushing towards the semifinals here. Who you've got? Who do you have winning it all? So it's interesting again to watch teams compete each other. The narratives change. Players get injured at really critical times, but happens once every 4 years, and it's definitely a spectacle. So last week we ended up this series on workplace incivility. I do want to talk about workplace bullying at some point, but maybe because the last few episodes have been a bit of a downer or caused people to reflect, we will jump straight into workplace bullying and we'll just talk about something a little bit different today. And I've been reflecting on the standards that we set for the orgs or the workplaces where we find ourselves, and how often it's at a standard that's much, much higher than the standards that we set for ourselves individually. I was just thinking about this. We often complain about how the absurd, and this is a great topic to delve into, but how the absurd or the things that we know we should do in our organizations don't happen, how we don't limit WIP, how we start things before finishing things, all the things we do that we know intuitively and just based on experience are not helpful, are not in the organization's best interest. And we even think about it at an individual level within our organizations. We are highly critical of the things that we don't do that we should be doing and the things we do that we should not be doing. And here, I'm not trying to create an excuse or give somebody a way out. Like, these are legitimate critiques. And that's a lot of my work has largely focused on how do we get better at the things we do collectively in our orgs. But if we pause to think about it, we quickly realize like what we do in our organizations is not any different from what we do outside in our personal lives. Think about it. How often do we do things that are not in our best interest in the grand scheme of things? How often do we have that extra slice of cake that we shouldn't have because it's just sugar? Or we push off the exercise routine that we know we should be doing, or we're not getting enough sleep, or we're doom scrolling. The list goes on and on and on and on. Or we had the one glass that we shouldn't have, and then we get on the road, or we text while driving, guilty as charged, right? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, if you're really honest with yourself, you find out that we constantly do things that are not in our best interest. Of course, they're serving different interests because the reason why we're doing it is because there are some interests that we're trying to meet, like desire something sweet. So you have an extra piece of cake, like pleasure, right? Or I fear of missing out. So I gotta see what somebody's posted on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram. Just use that as an example. But you get the point. It is the human condition to seek pleasure, to seek shortcuts, to manage our impressions, a whole bunch of things. And this is no different from what we see in the workplace. So, why do I bring this up? I think a lot of times we get very frustrated with what's happening in the workplace because our expectations are just not grounded. This is not an excuse. In our individual lives, we should be, in my viewpoint, trying to get better. We should be improving. We should be getting sleep. We should be eating right. We should be exercising. Hey, I wrote a book on that exact point. It's over my shoulder if you can see it there. And part of the commentary I made for people in leadership positions, but this applies to everybody, is you need to take care of yourself. And this is true in our orgs as well. In the workplaces, we need to manage the work that we have ongoing. We have to stop starting things and start finishing. We need to organize in a way that generates the best results. We need to engage in positive politics more than we do negative politics. We need to think about the organizational structures that allow the load to be spread as evenly as it can be so that we don't have parts of the organization that are bearing a load that exceeds their capacity. These are all things we should do, but we don't do them for other reasons. So the point here is like sometimes it's just important to like step back, reflect on that, and remember that we're consistent in this way. It's part of what it means to be human. It's not an excuse, but it is the current reality that we work through. And I find like when I pause to think about this, humility sets in, grace sets in, and I'm in for the long haul. Now, this is not an excuse to remain in corrupted systems. Some systems are just so bad because they are the harm they're inflicting on their people is just so great. So there's not an excuse for that, but it is an explanation, if you want to think about it that way, for the messiness that exists in our organizations. After all, we're the people in them, and we're doing the things outside of them. We're doing the things in them that we do outside of them. So you want to experience joy at work? Have some grace, be humble, realize that very few of us, let me not be absolute here, but I guess most people that I know do not always do things in their best interest. And this is true in the organization as well. So, what do you think about this? And how does this make you feel? And what differences or similarities do you see? And now that we know this, how are you going to maybe work on some things that are in your best interest in your personal life and in the workplace as well? I'll see you next time. Thanks for coming around. Don't forget, the gift you can give me if you enjoy this content is sharing it with one person in your life. Sign up, share. See you next time. Subscribe and share. See you next time. Bye.